This is going to be my DIY brake, rotor, and pad replacement on a 2001 Toyota Camry. I purchased the rotors from AC Delco and the pads from Toyota. The rotors at Toyota were 70 each. The AC Delco ones were 50. So after I took the tire off, secured it on jack stands and all that. Started with a 14 millimeter bolt caliper. Whoever did the brakes last over torqued everything, so having a little bit of a hard time here with all these bolts on this side. The other side I inspected the brakes, so I already broke them free, so it was a breeze. But this side had to go a little extra over torque spec. So the torque spec on these bolts right here are 25 foot-pounds, according to something I found on the internet, which I assume is correct. Using my Koken nut grip deep socket 14 millimeter with the Zeal spinner. Works great like a little screwdriver or nut driver almost. So I'm a real big fan of these Koken tools. I did the whole job with them, other than a little bit of power tools. So this is me breaking the bottom 14 millimeter loose with a Koken long handle flex head 3. I think that's a 3/8. In hindsight, I should have used some long handle flex box end ratcheting wrenches, or no, box end non-ratcheting wrenches. Not sure if they have flex head of those, but I try to go nice on my expensive ratchets and not break them. I use breaker bars, cheap ratchets whenever possible to break over torque fittings. In this case, I was just excited to use the Koken tools. I had them out and I broke the bolt loose with it, which was a lot of fun. So here I'm removing the caliper. This caliper hanger thing came in handy. I bought a pair of them, but I only needed one since I did the brakes one at a time. I jacked the car up in the middle and put 2 jack stands at the jacking points. I also used some rubber grommet type things for the jack stands. I've found in the past that I've mangled the pinch weld unibody by just letting it fall on the jack stands that aren't shaped for it. By buying the thick rubber that's shaped for it, you kind of keep those pinch welds intact, I found. So I'm happy about that. And this is me using the impact gun, 17 millimeter caliper bracket bolts. These are the ones that were over torqued. I didn't have my Hercules stubby 1/2 inch impact gun on the highest setting. I had it on 1, so once I got it on the highest setting, it broke it right off. I had to use my bigger Hercules torque gun in the other side, but I wonder if I just had this one on the wrong setting. Out here, the weather is very nice, so these things just came right off. This car has 192,000 miles on it, and these brakes pads were worn all the way down, so it's definitely time for it. So here I am using a wire wheel. I purchased at Home Depot, Ryobi, and a Makita impact driver I purchased at the swap meet for $30 or $20. So they come in both of these come in real handy. A little extension, it's actually a screwdriver or a bit driver extension with the sheath, but it works as an extension. I guess I need to get some extensions for that. But clean that up. There's no real scale or anything. You probably even need to do that. But just trying to be thorough, watching a lot of YouTube videos. In particular, the car care nut. I learned a lot about the Toyota brakes from that one. Also, A1 Auto. It's great. I ended up purchasing these rotors from Rock Auto. And they look good. They're AC Delco rotors, but unfortunately, there was a ding on one of them. And I don't know if that's FedEx's fault or Rock Auto's fault or my fault for ordering them through the mail. But obviously I slapped them on there anyway. But it's a little disappointing. It wasn't too bad. I will put it in a future video, but it's not in this video. So this is my Harbor Freight, I think Maddox front brake caliper spreader. Has a bunch of these little circular things that fit various models. I found number 9 works good on the Camry. So I like this tool a lot. Just get a 22 millimeter wrench, and once you snug it up, you can basically compress the calipers. Right before I did it, I noticed a bunch of dirt, so I wanted to get as much of it out of this crease as possible before I smash it all into the caliper. You know, even though it's nice weather out here, the brake dust grime is pretty thick on a 192,000 mile car. So I'm doing whatever I can to keep this thing on the road, and to hopefully with this brake job I could do it properly and not mess anything up. I did notice a little tear in that rubber thing. It didn't look too bad, so I just somewhat ignored it. But maybe on the next brake job, if this car lasts that long, there'll be time to rebuild this caliper on this side and replace that boot or whatever it's called. The rubber flex hose that goes between the cylinder you push in and the caliper body. So I'm just positioning the caliper with the brake fluid line so that I could get on there with this 22 millimeter wrench. I found if you try to rotate the handle, it basically spins the circle on the caliper, and it walks off. So I think it's designed to use this 22 millimeter wrench. It's got a nice rotation point. It doesn't move anything other than just open it right up. So it's obviously designed for a 22 millimeter wrench. I was happy to use my SK wrench I purchased at a swap meet recently. Very happy with it. Real cheap, 22 millimeters. One thing to be sure of when you do this, Car Care Nut mentioned this, but is check your level and pull it out with a turkey baster. When I did the first side, I pulled a bunch out, compressed it all the way in, it filled all the way back up almost. And on the other side, I had to pull it out again. And then when I was done, it's not quite at the max, but it's more towards the max than the minimum. So I just left it where it's at, pumped the brakes, checked it again, it hasn't moved, so I'm just gonna leave it. I inspected the back brakes a while back, thinking that's where the squealing was coming from, but they still got some meat on them, so I just let them be. I do have the brake pads to replace them with and all the fitment kit hardware, but I'm just gonna hold on to that and let these ones that are in there, some Bosch brake pads, wear down some more. The front ones always go before the rear ones. And the noise wouldn't go away, so eventually I did check the front. I should have checked it right in the beginning. It's a rookie mistake. But these things were worn down. I mean, all the way down. I got every dollar out of these brake pads for sure. And very happy with the work this morning. It's very relaxing. Woke up early, had all the tools prepped the night before. Just took my time and relaxed. And I've noticed that when you have an abundance of tools, the job actually is nice and relaxing. When I was younger, I would have to run out to the parts store and buy tools, and it was stressful. I was always felt like I was under the gun trying to do it before work or before the sunset, and just kind of rushing through the job. When you could sit back and relax, DIY, and just methodically go to the next step and refer to your YouTube videos as needed, I found that the job goes incredibly smooth. So just to go over some specs, I'll have the part numbers in another video, but the torque spec for the caliper bolts is 25 foot-pounds, and for the caliper bracket bolts is 79 foot-pounds, and for the wheels lug nuts is 76 foot-pounds. And using some Scotch-Brite on here, probably went overboard. Probably don't even need to do any of this, but I just noticed an incredible amount of crud built up on here. And again, with a high mileage car, almost about to hit 200,000, I want to do what I can to keep things in order, and I don't want so much crust build up on here that it just gets all in the brake caliper or anything and just messes it up. So I figured I just want to start fresh, and how hard would it be to just hit this with a wire brush real quick? Wasn't hard at all. Just really thoroughly enjoyed this work. Koken tools work great. I think on future videos, I'm just gonna, break out the icons one day and use all the icons and just kind of go back and forth and determine for myself which ones feel good, which ones work good. Are the Koken's that much better than the icon? Is zeal socket attachment tightness make that much of a difference, and just kind of get a feel for it, and even use my cheap tools, my Pittsburgh Pro ratchet and whatnot. But I got all the Kokens recently, so for now I'm using all of them, and it was a great day for automotive maintenance using the Koken tools for sure. Really enjoyed it. So cleaned up that caliper. The car care nut says to push the calipers in right off the bat, so if it's seized up, you could address it before going further with the job. So, I follow his advice. One thing that I didn't see on any YouTube videos, but I heard in the past, is to keep the grease off of the pads. It really messes them up. I've always tried it in the past, but I find it to be very difficult, and always at least put a little tiny bit of a smudge on there. So today was no different, but I'm getting better, and I'm hoping on my next brake job I can get the pads on there completely. I've done it a few times when I was younger to get the pads on there without any grease, but another thing is obviously you got to clean the grease off the rotor from the manufacturer. They leave some kind of rust inhibitor type grease on there. You got to get that off because you don't want that getting on your pad either. So I've heard you want to keep the pads as clean as possible from any type of foreign grease or anything. So brake cleaner on the rotors, and try to keep the brake grease you're applying to the fitment and the pads and the calipers off the actual surface of the pads that hit the rotor. But at the same time, you got to get grease on all the parts that need grease, the sliding moving parts and the brake pads. So unfortunately I was not able to so this is me putting some. So the brake pads came with some grease, or the parts did, some moly grease from Toyota. So I'll get it in a future video, but it's some kind of black moly brake grease. So I was using my own grease at first, but then I just decided to open that pack and switch over to that. So as per videos I've been watching from the Northeast and stuff, where they got a lot of rust, I put the grease between the rotor and the hub just to follow the proper procedure of the proper brake job, as people put it, or whatever, and just try to do everything right that I've learned. Obviously I'm DIY, I'm not a professional. This is not meant to show people how to do it. It's more meant to just kind of show how that it is possible to do it. And if you buy the right tools and take your time, it's actually super easy to do brakes, oil, any type of drain and fill. Most of it's just handling the toxic waste. But if you buy reasonable cars that are in good shape and you just do all the maintenance yourself, it's not that expensive, and you can keep them on the road for decades basically. So this is my goal, to drive an inexpensive car, '01 Camry, nothing to write home about, but I like the era of Toyota, the early 2000s, before, like for example in '02 that the Camry got upgraded, and I kind of like the old school engine with the less electronics. It's still got a computer, but it's not. So here's a picture of the new brake pads going in, where I built them on the bracket off the car per car care nut. Unfortunately I didn't get this on film, but here's the old pads and the workspace I use. So here they are going on the car. Really pretty smooth job. By watching all the YouTube videos, it definitely helped me. Didn't run into any problems. Even had the grommet thing pop out on the caliper when I was compressing it, like the car care nut warned me about, and I was able to pop the air out and push it back in and get it seated properly. And the caliper lives to slide another day. So very happy about that. I've learned it's less about tools, more about knowledge, experience. So I just want to do as much DIY light mechanic jobs as possible, to just learn as much as possible and become comfortable doing this stuff. Again, by no means am I a professional trying to show anybody. I struggle through this stuff. I watch YouTube videos to learn how to do it. I'm really enjoying it. I watch the videos and then I say, well, I could make a video that shows everything in there and maybe add some torque specs that were missing or something, and it will help me. I could go back and watch it to review anything that I'm curious about. So I have found the video makes it tougher. So when on the first breaks, I just didn't video it, I just did it. But once I got comfortable, I was about to install it, I took the video back up and started showing it. So once I'm done with this, this is the second side that I started videoing on. It's the video from start to finish. But once I'm putting the tire on this one, I switch back to the other one where I actually filmed the second half of it, the install. But for the first disassembly and installing the brake pads on the bracket, I just left the phone on the charger. It was about to die, and just focused on doing the work. And it's definitely a lot faster and easier if you're not filming. Once you set the camera up, you could just forget about it to a certain degree. But trying to get a good video does seem to negatively impact how fast you're able to do a job. If you just leave the video aside and get the job done, it's almost like you can do it in less than half the time. But I did want to capture some of this on video and upload it to YouTube, and to basically watch DIY videos and see if I could basically recreate them in doing my own work and add anything that I feel is missing. So A1 Auto has great DIY, videos that you could use for DIY. I found their resources almost the best. I want to buy their parts, but when I check the prices and look at them, I for whatever reason ended up at Rock Auto this time. But I will continue to buy A1 Auto parts. I have in the past. I love their videos. Car Care Nut also has great videos for DIY reference. And then, YouTube itself is just full of them. So I watch it. I watch those two. I watch a few other YouTube ones. And then I say, hey, let me make mine and see if I could add to any of this vast library of parts repair and DIY. So, trying to learn all the little tricks of the trade or whatever. I watched the how to do a brake video, brakes like a pro and all that stuff. And, it's a confident feeling to know that you're doing it right. And I bought the right tools. In the past, I would just use a giant channel lock for this, and scratch up the caliper a little bit. And I was broke when I was younger. Now that I'm able to buy some tools and stuff, it's just a much more relaxing job. So here I am. On both of them, I didn't open them up enough. I had to just open a little bit more to get them over the new brake pads. Everything greased up to spec, hopefully perfectly, not too much, not too little. Still learning about that. Again, working on keeping the surface of the pads clean and the rotors clean without any grease on them. Still struggling with that a little bit. But definitely enjoying these Koken tools. This spinner that acts as like a nut driver on an extension with a socket is just an amazing tool. The old school 24 tooth Koken ratchets are just amazing with the Neuro grip. The Zeal flex head is good. I keep ordering them. I got $100 one in my Amazon cart right now. It's the long handle polished 1/2-inch flex head Koken ratchet. I don't know that. I think it's a 4774 P-450. It's pretty sad if I can know the part numbers off the top of my head like that, but I think I'm gonna buy it. I already have way too many ratchets, but I'm just really enjoying these Koken tools, and I've kind of decided just to build a whole set of Koken, and hopefully I can have a second set somewhere on standby that is useful, or in some type of mobile situation, or even to help a good friend out that's maybe starting out with mechanics. I could offer some tools. So I'm not too worried about having too many tools. I'm really enjoying this little hobby I've picked up. I've done it my whole life, but I moved to an urban area, and for about 10 years I just said, what, I'm just going to pay someone to do all this stuff. And I've been doing that for a while, but finally got my garage space kind of cleared out enough to where I decided that I wanted to take this on as a hobby that I could do. I've been able to do all this stuff, but I want to learn how to do it properly and learn all this. And I think it's a great time right now on YouTube that all these videos are available to do these types of jobs, no problem. With inflation, you're able to save a ton of money, in my opinion, doing this. I don't know how much probably, you know, 200 bucks I saved doing this job in labor cost. But I have no idea here. So here I am putting on, this is the passenger side wheel that I just did the whole entire brake job on, minus the brake pad installed in the bracket. I did offline. Just showed a picture of that. But now that the wheel's going on, this video is not about wheels or rotation, tire rotation or anything. So I'm gonna skip to the next, the other side, the driver's side here, where I'm showing the second half of it. Like I said, the first half I just left the video off and focused on it, but I was able to capture the second half, and it went smooth just like this side. So here I am, same thing, trying to put the caliper on. Everything's all perfectly greased up and ready to go, but it's just not quite compressed enough. So now I gotta go get my spreader tool and push it on the grease, and yeah, it's clean, so it didn't bother me too much, but it would have been nice to have it perfect. I'm not sure if you can measure this ahead of time or what, but maybe you just learn over time how to do it perfect. But I actually don't mind getting it just slightly too small and then going the perfect amount over, and then it fits on like a glove once you get it on, because then it's easier to get the bolts in. It just kind of stays on there. And I don't know what happens if you overextend them, but I don't want to find out if it's something bad. So I just wanted to go easy and just take my time. So here I am making the final spread, removing this Maddox caliper spreader tool. Works really great. Glad I bought it. I think I got it on sale. I was able to buy a lot of these things on sale. Open box, apparently they got a lot of these open box sales. So as long as it's got all the parts, I don't care if the box is open. I'll take 20% off or 40% off. So very happy with all of my specialty automotive tools. Haven't used them all, but I'm starting to use them. Very happy with them. I think I got a bearing, front axle bearing puller thing that was pretty expensive in a huge heavy case. But I misdiagnosed the sound. It was obviously the brakes now that were just worn out and hitting the indicator squealer thing. That I thought maybe something was wrong with the bearing, and had some rough driving going over some curbs and whatnot. So I just assumed, maybe the bearing is going out. And I don't regret buying it. Just more tools for the future. Like I said, I plan to do more and more aggressive DIY jobs as time goes on. I've done spark plugs, brakes, oil changes, drain and flushes of all the fluids, in the past, basic stuff. But, I want to step up to timing belts and axles and shock struts. I've done, the easy ones that you just unbolt and bolt on, but the ones where you need the special tool to compress it and stuff, I've never done coilovers, I guess you call them. But anyway, here I am installing the brackets. I guess I got sidetracked there. So these are 14 millimeter, again, torque specs 25. Really just enjoying this time with my Koken tools. They're great. Unfortunately, the half-inch set I bought, the smallest extension on it is quite big. So I actually had to use a non-Koken half-inch 1.5-inch extension or 2-inch extension approximately for this job to get in there with the torque wrench and stuff, which isn't the end of the world, but would have been nice if that Koken half-inch socket set I bought had a smaller extension than the 4-inch one it appears to only have. But really happy I bought those Koken socket sets for all 1/4 inch, 3/8, and 1/2 inch, because I got the spinners, I got the universal joints, and breaker bars, extensions, and sockets. In hindsight, one negative of the sets is it's got like the 16 and 18 and 15 millimeter, which I really don't want and don't need, because I'm just going to try to focus on Toyotas. But I'm not complaining. I think it was a good deal purchasing it all together. I think if I pieced it all out with the shipping from Japan, it would have been expensive. So got the caliper on there. Again, sidetracked talking about these Koken tools I love so much. But yeah, the job was super relaxing and pleasurable using the Koken tools. Here I am putting the tire on. So this pretty much completes the video. I hope you enjoyed. Please like and subscribe. Again, just DIY, maybe it's a helpful reference. Not trying to show anybody how to do it. As a matter of fact, if anyone sees anything I did wrong or any suggestions, constructive criticism, or even just flat out teasing or negative stuff, feel free to put it in the comments.